Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Friday the 28th of February 2025. Welcome to Saorsa Live. Tonight we're streaming across YouTube and TikTok, so please do take the time to like and share across both these platforms and say hello in the comments too. And if we lose the live stream on either of these platforms, please head to the other one so you can still join in the conversation. And as usual, we are recording this live for the security and integrity of the stream. Before I begin, I just want to say something incredibly important, that Indie Dave, one of the Saorsa gang, is 8 years old today, he said to me when I saw him. He says, I'm actually 8 years old, Mo, in his head. But it's his birthday. So I don't know whether he's on just now. Let's have a quick look. I cannot see him in TikTok land. Are you in? Yes, there he is. Indie Dave, you're a moderator across in YouTube land. Everybody, wish Dave, Indie Dave, the blue one with the spanner, a happy birthday. He kept it quiet from me. I met him for coffee, and if I'd known, I would have got you a present. I would have. A wee gifty gift. You know. Good. Right. What we're doing tonight. What are we doing tonight? We're going to go on at this, well, let's just say this week I've been probably ruffled a few feathers about talking about how the independence movement as a whole is very much attacking each other. It's not everybody, you know that, it's not everybody, but the whole point was to ruffle a few feathers, to basically get a little bit of critical thinking going. So we are going to touch on those topics very briefly. I've got my notes and my script ready for it, but the majority of tonight is going back to what the big long video that I posted this morning that was supposed to be posted yesterday, but because it was like 41 minutes long, It took me ages to edit properly, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same presentation that I did on that as well, to get some feedback from you. It'll take probably about half an hour to do the presentation because there's a lot of stuff that people already know in it. Okay, so that'll be that there. But before we begin all that, all right, let's play the usual, where is it? There it is, the usual message. Start our lives with an important reminder that we are fighting one of the world's greatest propaganda machines, the British state and their right-wing oligarch-run media. To combat this, we ask that you always follow, like and share and comment positively across all social media platforms on any of your favourite Scottish independence creators and commentators. By doing this, you help to spread the word of our cause and manipulate social media algorithms to benefit our struggle. So please, for now, like and share this live stream, and if you haven't already, follow this account. Thank you. Cool. Now, I say this every week. I play that same jingle every single week, and there's a whole reason behind that, okay? We are digital activists. Everybody that is in YouTube land, thank you very much for joining us, everybody over there, and everybody that is in TikTok land. Incidentally, you are neck and neck with people watching, so share it at both sides and see who wins by the end of tonight. We're a wee bit earlier on the stream because we're having a bit of a Saorsa social on Discord after this, a cheese on toast night. Okay, but back to what I was saying. It's really, 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 really important, okay, that we follow the independence creators, people like everything that's on Independence Live, following them, sharing them, and putting things out there that is pro Scottish independence, commenting positively on it. The reason behind that is because we are up against a super state when it comes to propaganda. Britain's not really a super state, but they're very good at manipulating their own people. I mean, right now, okay, we're manipulated, well, we're not, but down south they're so manipulated that 53% of the voters down there have said in the latest poll that they will vote for reform. If that happens, that is a massive majority just in England alone. Massive. Okay, they will be able to do whatever they like. So next week is going to be a bit about that, to be perfectly honest, with the content that we're doing. Okay, but let's have a quick look around on YouTube land first of all, and then TikTok land. Now, I did see a name there, Natasha. Thank you very much for coming in. Yes, Alia's mum. I hope your wee girl is fantastic. Thank you for joining us. It's all about Scottish independence, my live stream that I do, Natasha. So hopefully you'll be able to stick around. Usually it's out at 11 o'clock at night, but tonight we are having a social on our Discord server, which will be good. Yes, Ginger Drink, that is it, without a doubt. And there's Lois. I'll call you Lawless. And there's Peace on Earth as well. Hiya, Kel, how are you? And Kareem, brilliant. Are you? Yes, you are. I'm just making sure that you're a moderator over there. And across in YouTube land, it's a bit quieter tonight. On YouTube land, I think people are, what's the word I'm looking for? Expecting me on at 11 o'clock, but that's cool, not to worry. And it's also giving me a wee warning that the stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended rate. So please tell me in YouTube land, or anybody that's watching in YouTube land, if you send me a message on WhatsApp, if anything goes wrong with the stream across there, because it does have a yellow warning for me just now. I'll need to go in and fix that afterwards. So that's all the hellos done. If I've missed anybody, please give me a thumbs up and I'll speak to you after the first segment, because we're just going to get straight in with it just now, and then we will go for it. Okay? Right. Okay. So, they say the greatest enemy of Scottish independence is Westminster, but what if I told you the real enemy isn't them? They're part of it, but most of it is people like activists attacking ourselves. For years, the independence movement has been fighting battles that weaken us instead of focusing on the war that we need to win. Instead of directing our enemy towards breaking free of Westminster, we have spent it tearing each other apart. Instead of persuading undecided voters, we have wasted time basically fighting over political loyalty. Instead of preparing for the decisive battles ahead, we have been consumed by petty squabbles and self-inflicted wounds. And Westminster, they've not had to lift a finger. We've done their job for them. But how did we get here? How did a movement that once stood strong in 2014, united behind a single cause, become so divided that it can barely function? The answer is simple: ego, tribalism, and a refusal to engage with reality. There are people in this movement who care more about proving that they are right than they do actually about winning independence. People who care more about their party than their country. People who would rather see their chosen faction in control of Holyrood than see Scotland free. And it is this obsession with internal battles that is destroying our movement from the inside. We have spent so much time blaming each other that we have forgotten who the real enemy is. We've allowed ourselves to become addicted to conflict, treating every disagreement as a war that must be won. But here's the truth. The people you're arguing with on social media are not your enemies. They are not the reason that Scotland is still in the Union. That honour belongs to Westminster, and to the movement's own failure to act with unity and discipline. Because if we did, we'd be further down the line. While we fight amongst ourselves, the unionist parties are planning their strategy. They're already working to divide their vote to maximise their seats. Reform UK is growing, and its presence threatens to shift the entire dynamic of the next Holyrood election. If we waste another election on infighting, they will take full advantage of it. And yet, instead of recognising the threat, instead of preparing to wipe out their influence, we're still here, arguing over party loyalty. Independence is bigger than any party, bigger than the SNP, bigger than ALPA, bigger than the Greens. It's about the people. It's not about the politics, but we need the politics for part of it. This movement is supposed to be about Scotland's right to self-determination, but tell me, how can we demand that right when we refuse to act like a movement worthy of it? Do you think that undecided voters look at this mess and feel inspired? Do you think that they see a movement ready to govern an independent country? Or do they see a rabble of activists more interested in smacking each other about verbally on social media? I don't know. When you look at it, we're running out of time. Every day wasted on internal battles is another day Westminster strengthens its grip. Another day Scotland's wealth is siphoned south. Another day the next generation is told their future is not theirs to decide. We need to stop this. We need to stop blaming each other, and we need to start fighting for Scotland. If activists do not set aside their egos, their tribal loyalty, their obsession with being right, then we're not a movement. We're just another failed campaign. And if we continue down this path, history will not remember us as the generation that won Scotland's independence. It will remember us as the generation that squandered it. So the question is simple. Are you willing to rise above the noise? Are you willing to fight for Scotland, not just your party? Or are you content to let Westminster win again? Because that's what's at stake, and the choice is yours. I'm going to ask you, are you sick of this infighting? Are you sick of anything to do with our movement focusing inwards? You know, you look across the water to America just now, and you look at the way that Donald Trump just dressed down Zelensky in the White House. Now, I'm no fan of what's going on in Ukraine for both sides. Okay, I think that it's awful. And I've never been a fan of Zelensky's, and I don't put him below Putin, to be perfectly honest. But what I do feel, though, is to publicly humiliate him was ridiculous. And then we have our Prime Minister across there acting like a little fanboy of Trump. You know, he was getting dressed down in front of the press as well. You know, he worked really hard at lunchtime. He's earning his money today. It's embarrassing that we're part of this union. Utterly embarrassing that Keir Starmer's government holds the reins of what we can actually do. Meanwhile, we're just fighting each other and like saying, you know, SNP's right, Alipa's right, Liberation Scott's right. Liberation Scott, regardless whether they have a mandate to take this forward, they've actually taken something forward. They won't, the way that it'll operate though, when it goes there, the United Nations will ask them, do the Scottish people back you? And at some point they're going to have to prove that. But at least it's something taking it down the track. There's a chap that is in the TikTok, let me scroll back, and it's the Albafest Foundation, and you're saying 13 months of the election, no unity, no plan, the result is a foregone conclusion. I totally agree with you 100%, and I've watched some of your stuff, I've been on your websites as well. I like the idea of community ownership and things like that. I think that's something that we should be exploring more, and also the idea of what's it called? What do they do in Switzerland? Direct democracy. I think that's something that, you know, we can kind of instigate quicker than independence probably, and certainly it's something that should be done post-independence. We should have more of a say in what we do in our nation as a whole, for people that want to engage anyway at all. Right, let's have a quick look around again. Dave's in the house in both places, and I saw Lisa in both places as well. Amazing. And let's have a look. There's 3 people, three viewers between TikTok and YouTube, by the way, but YouTube land is winning slightly across there. Right, let's have a quick look. Who else have we got? There's Ruth, Alex, hiya Doug, how are you? Hashbury, good to see you there too. Just saying hello to a few people before we go on to the next bit. Kareem's across there too as well. You'll be glad I'm doing this an hour earlier than usual, Kareem. I'm glad that you're here. Cool. Right, I'm going to move on to the second segment so we can get through the massive presentation, which is, incidentally, the presentation... No, we won't talk about the presentation just now. We'll talk about it afterwards. And Ken, you're also on YouTube too. I don't see you. Make a comment, say something there, please. Good. Right, let's get on with it. Okay, so we've been fighting the wrong battles for years. We've argued over party loyalty. We've wasted time debating who is the true champion of independence. And every time we've done this, we've taken our eyes off the real fight. The fight to win a pro-Scottish majority in Holyrood. Regardless how we feel, okay, about whatever party, we need to be governed by people that are pro-Scottish. We don't want to be governed by a unionist party that takes its orders from London. And no matter how you feel about the SNP, I want you to consider the good that they've done, alright? If you're a parent and you're a new parent in the past sort of 10 years or so, baby boxes. I know people mock them and things like that. But you know, there's a council down in England that have now started baby boxes on the back of Scotland's example. I think that's a beautiful thing. I really do. Anyway, I digress. So, the fight to win a pro-Scottish majority in Holyrood in 2036. And let's be clear, this is not about policy, it's about survival. Because if we don't have that government in place, many of the things that they put in place will probably be rolled back. Okay, it's not just another 5-year cycle, this election. It's not just a chance to debate policy and leadership. It's the defining moment for the future of Scotland, especially considering that we have reform on the doorstep down south. It's not just if we get it wrong, we're going to allow Westminster to tighten its grip indefinitely. So tell me, are you ready to take this seriously? Are you ready to do what must be done to win? Because the reality is this: 2026 is not about individual parties. It's about one thing and one thing only: electing a pro-Scottish government and a pro-Scottish opposition. That is vital. We need to push the union out. We're going to get reform coming in, we're going to get Labour people coming in, we're going to get Tories coming in, but we can minimise it with strategic voting. And it is by using our voting system just strategically to weaken the unionist parties that we have to do. And that means understanding that a vote wasted on blind party loyalty is basically a vote just given to the unionists. We have already seen what happens when we fail to act strategically. In 2021, we let 53 unionist MSPs take seats in Holyrood. 53. Because we refused to think beyond both votes SNP. Had we voted strategically, that number would have been 34. The unionist parties would have been marginalised beyond repair, and Scotland would have been one step closer to independence. This isn't speculation. This is fact. I've done the numbers, and you're going to see the numbers later on. So the only question that matters now is, will we learn from it? And are we going to repeat the same mistakes of the past? Are we going to cling to outdated strategies and hope for a different result? Or are we going to finally step forward and do the right thing with unity and with the determination to win? Because if we fail, if we allow ourselves to be divided again, if we waste votes in 2026, we do hand control of Holyrood back to unionist parties. They will take over. It's going to happen. Westminster will see our weakness and they will exploit it mercilessly. They will use it to justify further control, further restrictions, further destruction of Scotland's ability to govern itself. And the worst part, it will be our own fault. It will be our own fault. But it doesn't have to be this way. We still have a choice. We can still rise above the noise, push past the tribalism and vote strategically, not emotionally. We can secure a Holyrood that fights for Scotland, not just for party dominance. And you know something? A pro-Scottish government under the glass ceiling of devolution with just devolved powers will still do more for Scotland than a unionist party can who takes their orders from down south. It's crazy, isn't it? So we need to consider we're going to be voting not for a party, not for a leader, not for blind loyalty, but we're going to vote for Scotland. Vote for Scotland. It's a hashtag. Use it. Okay? We're not just fighting for the next election, we're fighting for the next generation. And Scotland's future is in our hands, and the power to make it happen is ours. Because we know the truth. We know that we can use our voting system strategically and push unionists out. In the next segment, we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. Now then, shall we play a song? I think we'll play a song. This will be about 3 minutes, and it's the one that Lisa liked so much last week, so we'll play it again.
They call the shots, take what's ours and leave us not. But we see through their tired game. Scotland's rising won't be tamed. Scotland is ready. Scotland is ready for independence. No more waiting, no more chains. We'll stand together, break the race. Scotland is ready. Scotland is ready for independence, for independence. We're small, they say we're weak, but listen close. When Scotland speaks, our wealth is strong, our hearts are true. We know exactly what to do. Scotland is ready. Scotland is ready for independence. No more waiting, no more chains. We'll stand together, break the race. Scotland is ready. Scotland is ready for independence, for They say we're weak, but listen close. When Scotland speaks, our wealth is strong, our hearts are true. We know exactly what to do. Scotland is ready! Scotland is ready for independence. No more waiting, no more change. We'll stand together, break the reins. Scotland is ready! Scotland is ready for independence, for independence. Independence for independence.
Boom. Yeah, we like that song. Lisa likes that song. Don't you, Lisa? I don't know whether you're across in TikTok or YouTube land anymore, but there you go. There you go. Right. Let's have a quick look round robin. Ruth, you said that SNP 1 and 2 down in the borders in the south of Scotland. Absolutely right. Okay, it's also the same in the north of Scotland, Highland and Islands as well. We will look at that and we'll use the data from 2021 in just a minute when we go through it. I will introduce it, and I want to say as well that the first sort of two videos that I made this week, the Monday and the Tuesday video, they are a bit direct at the movement, and it's important that we understand why that was done. It's to wake people up, to not so much to slap them in the face. It's just to sort of like say, listen, had enough. We need to change, we need to evolve, we need to move forward. There's many different options that we can use, and we actually have to start considering them, because we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's ridiculous. Okay, ridiculous. So I'm going to bring up the internet cam just now, and we're going to go to a couple of websites, and I'm going to show you where we get the information from, first of all, for this. Let me see, is that working? Brilliant. Good. Right, so for people that don't understand the additional member system, I apologise to everybody that does understand it, that can comprehend how the DeHont calculation actually operates, okay? We're going to go through about a half-hour presentation, but I need you to see where you can go and find out the facts for yourself, okay? I shouldn't have that screen up there just now. You need to find the facts for yourself, and the first place to go to is the horse's mouth, all right? So you want to go to the Scottish Parliament website, okay? Now this is it, okay? Parliament.scot, it's there, right? And you will want to, let me just go into here, you need to go to this part here that says get involved. You scroll down and you're now going to education. Okay, and then we'll go back a bit. And you're going to go to education resources, and then you're going to go to resources on this website, and then interactive resources. Let me say, in the description of this live tonight on YouTube is all the links that you'll need, all the ones that I'm taking you to just now. So you don't need to come back and click. Just click the one thing that I've put up there. Okay, it's important that you know that. So the one that we want to look at is about the additional member system, the one with a little cartoon Einstein on it. Okay, this is really, really important. So we'll click onto there, and you're going to get a few, let me just zoom in a wee bit, a few things here about the additional member system. There is a document that talks about calculating the regional results. Now, on that document, I'm pretty sure that's the one that says the additional member system will allow seats to be distributed as close to the percentage of the votes received. Okay, and it's true. Okay, but it's not how it's calculated. They're talking about the entire bigger picture for the amount of votes that you receive, not just those little ones, right? Anyway, let's go to the thing. We want to go to explore this interactive resource. Okay, and there we have it. This is what they use in schools to teach kids about the additional member system. It is a PowerPoint presentation with little Einstein and you can just go through it. I'm not going to use this for my presentation. I've actually done a voiceover version of this very same thing, and it's available on YouTube. I think I've put that link in the description. If I've not, I will add it in after the live. Okay, and I just want to take you to where it says how the vote is calculated. Alright, so we're nearly there. Your second vote is this. Here we go. Brilliant. And how is it calculated, Einstein? Well, it's done by this formula by Mr. Victor de Hont, a Belgian mathematician. This is how it works. So, the de Hont formula. You take the regional seats are decided using the de Hont formula. So that is your total regional votes, just your regional votes, divided by the number of MSPs already won in that region, plus 1. So considering that we actually have about 7 constituencies in each region, thereabouts, maybe more in one or less in another, okay, however many seats you have already won in that whole region with the constituencies, your votes for the list vote for the regional vote will be divided by those amounts of seats plus 1. Alright? That's all you need to know from here. You can go and explore that interactive resource all you want. Okay, let's say goodbye to little Einstein just now, and then we will move on to the next part, which is where I get my actual data from. And there's many different places. I went to Wikipedia because it's the easiest one for me to read, but there's also the House of Commons library, where there's a link to the report from 2021 that has all the results on it as well. But we want to go down to, in a second, we want to go to results, which is just, if you see my mouse moving on the screen, it's just down here. So we click onto results. We want to find Glasgow, because we're going to use Glasgow as the example for all of our calculations tonight, well, most of them anyway. And here we go. So in 2021, Glasgow were amazing. In the constituencies, every single seat was won by the SNP. And then when you look at the list, the SNP won no seats at all, with 43.9% of the vote share and 133,917 votes. They won none because the de Hont calculation said, I'm going to take your 9 seats that you've already won, I'm going to add 1 to it, and then I'm going to divide all those 133,917 votes by 10. 9 plus 1 is 10. Okay, that's it. That is the calculation. Right, I'm going to bring up the presentation and we will give that a bash through it as well. This will probably take about 25 minutes now. There's parts of it that I don't need to go through, so I'm going to skip ahead to the interesting parts where we actually have the calculation coming on. 1 second. I'm just skipping ahead so you don't see it. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's on today's video. And it's good. You know what's really nice is that there's been a few comments saying I didn't know that, or I really understand it now, and that's really important to me, because if a couple of people understand it, they'll go away and talk about it with people, and they will turn around and say, hey, listen, go and look at this video, go and look at what Saorsa's doing on YouTube, so you can understand what's going on with it all. Right, I think that I've got it here. Right, okay, percent. Right. No, hang on, we need to go back. Right, so let me just bring it up again. So the formula is used as follows. Your total regional votes divided by the seats already won plus 1. This is very important to understand, as many people consider that it's a percentage of the votes cast in the regional list. That is nonsense. It is not a percentage of your regional votes. It is a form of proportional representation, and people always think that it's a percentage of your votes. But understand straight up right now that the de Hont calculation does not use percentages. It uses all your votes and all your seats already won plus 1. All right? That's it. That's how it works. Straight up. Okay. So this is, we just talked about that. Okay, let's just skip ahead. Right, so this is the one I want to show you. Sometimes it's easier to look at it from a visual point of view. Okay, so your regional votes divided by seats already won plus 1 equals what they actually call adjusted votes. So that's your adjusted votes is what's left after the divisors are being put in place. All right. The adjusted votes are used over 7 rounds of the calculation to allocate 7 MSPs in the region. This sounds complicated, but understand the simplicity of this. The more seats you have already won, the larger the divisor into your regional votes, and the larger the divisor means less votes you have during the 7 allocation rounds to give you seats. Okay, so I want to show you a complete round of this calculation using the figures from the Glasgow region in 2021. We shall be getting the figures from Wikipedia, which I showed you earlier on, and the link for this is in the description, and there is the link there. And if anybody wants to screen capture this QR code, be my guest, screen capture it right now and use that QR code. It will take you to the Glasgow results. Okay, we screen captured it. You all happy? Moving on. Right, so the SNP were very successful in the constituencies with 9 constituency wins, as we've seen before. Okay, however, in the list with all those lovely votes and 43.9, the regional vote, they ended up with 0 regional seats, as we already saw as well when we looked at Wikipedia. Okay, why did the SNP then gain no seats on the list? Simply because the vast amount of votes they received started off being divided by 10. Let me explain. The vote count for the SNP in Glasgow region was 133,917. The SNP won 9 constituency seats. In the first round of the regional seat allocation, the SNP vote count would have been divided by 10, which is 9 seats plus 1, resulting in an adjusted vote count of 13,000. So they're going from 133,000 down to 13,391. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Okay, they could have had 140,000 votes, all right? And that's 7,000 more votes than they got there. It would have still been divided by 10 and they would have had 14,000 votes. Okay, now we're going to look at not just this as a model, we're going to look at what would have happened if the SNP had all of Alapa's votes, okay? Because there's a massive argument, okay, that the Alapa party would split the independence vote. I'm going to say right now, that's bollocks, all right? Utter bollocks. And I'll show you as we go through tonight's little presentation. So there we go. There's it visually as well. Oh, no, hang on. There's it visually again. It'd be helpful if I was on the right screen, eh? And 13,391. Okay. So how did this look round by round? So this is where it might look a little bit complicated because I use a spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet as it looks here, okay, is it has the parties down the left hand side. FPTP stands for first past the post seats, and then you can see on the extreme right the amount of list votes each party received. I've not put Lib Dems in or the Alapa's ones in because they didn't actually meet the threshold for the votes to be included in the allocation rounds. Okay, so round 1, Labour wins their vote. Labour wins and their votes will be adjusted to the next round to 37,044. Okay, because Labour started off with 74,088, but now they have 1 seat here. So that 74,000 will be divided by the vote that the seat that they've just won plus 1. So the 74,000 is going to be divided by 2 in all essence. All right. Okay. So round 2, Labour wins and their votes will be adjusted to 24,000. So let's have a look. So there's round 1. Okay. Right. So Labour's votes were adjusted to 37,000 for round 2, and they're still got the highest amounts. There's little SNP who got the biggest vote share, but the D'Hondt calculation reduces it down to 13,000 odds, and we still have the Tories and Labour with that, and the Greens. Greens are very close. Okay, so Labour so far have won 2 seats, and in the next round, in round 3, Labour's votes will be 24,696. Okay, so here we go. There's round 3, And this time, the Tories win a seat. They have the most votes. Now, the Tories have now won one seat. So their amount of votes will be divided by 1 plus 1. So their votes in this will be halved. Labour having 24,000 there, that is because the 74,000 that they started off with is now being divided by 3, which is the 2 seats that they've won plus 1. Round 4, Greens win, and their 36,000 will be adjusted down to 18,000. You can see that they've won in round 4 because they had the most votes, 36,000, 24,000, 18,000, and still the SNP have not won a single seat because they don't have enough votes, because their massive amount of votes were reduced to 13,000. So in round 5, Labour win again. Did Labour win again? I've not put that part on there. Hold on. Let's just skip ahead because it will be able to see it on. There we go. So we'll look at 6, 5 and 6 together. So Labour won round 5, just there, with their 24,000, and then they won the next one with 18,522. Now look at that. It's so damn close. You see that? So close, very close. Closer to the closest thing that's ever been closey from close town. Last round. Okay, the Tories win. So what we have here, straight up, is 2 seats for the Tories, 4 seats for the Labour, and 1 for the Greens. And none for the SNP, who had the most votes. But that there is the proportional representation part about it. It takes into account the seats that the SNP have already won. You know, it's really important. And if you look at that, you can actually see how it worked. Right there. Anis Sarwar got his seat on the list because of that. You know, Annie Wells got her seat on the list. Patrick Harvey got his seat on the list as well. But the SNP got none. None. Shame. Okay, right. Some people might see that as being super complicated, right? But you just have to accept that the more seats you already have, the bigger the divisor, so you're going to have less votes to start with. It's the easiest way to think about it, okay? But the SNP were decimated in the Glasgow list. I'm just skipping ahead just now so we can go through that. Right, okay, this is the interesting part. So, Alapa actually received 5,408 votes in the list. So if we were to add this to the SNP vote count, would it have made a difference? So did Alapa actually split the independence vote? This is something that my SNP brothers and sisters talk about frequently. Oh, Alapa split the vote. Well, let's have a look. Okay, so there is the thing from Wikipedia that shows Alapa's votes. Okay, so you know that I'm not talking garbage here. That is what they got. Okay, there's all the other votes that we've used already, but that is Alapa's ones. Okay, and you can get that from that link there, and that link will be in the description as well. Okay, nice. So it won't. Okay, let's just have a wee look. We're going to have a look at SNP with Alapa's votes. So please take a great note here just now. Okay, that come on, why is that not going forward? Where is my other bit? Oh, there it is. Brilliant. So the top one is the SNP with Alapa's votes, and the bottom one is the one that we've seen already. Okay, now the SNP with Alapa's votes start off with an adjusted vote of 13,932 compared to their 13,391. And if you look at the way that does with round 1, not round 2, not, it makes no difference at all. Alapa did not split the indie vote at all. At all. Utterly, utterly impossible. But let's have a look at what would have happened if Alapa... I want to say, now listen, people might not like me using Alapa as an example, but it's a real world party. You might not like their policies. Get over it, all right? I'm using this as an example, straight up as an example so you can see the difference. You could replace Alapa with the Greens. If you don't like the Greens, make it a fictitious party, call them Saorsa. I'm not going into politics, I'm not, okay, but replace the word Alapa, just look at it as a word. If you want, call it the friggin' Tartan Party, I don't care, okay, but what if Alapa or the Tartan Party had received all of the SNP votes? Let's have a look. Okay, so that would have been, we're going to give them just the 133,917. We're not going to give them the extra 5,000 either, okay, but we're going to give them this. So, in this one, you can see that the SNP started with no votes because we were gracious, we gave every single vote to Alapa or whatever what you want to call it. So Alapa, with no constituency seats at all, would start off with 133,917 votes divided by 1. What is that divided by 1? That is 133,917. So they would have won the first seat, the first round, Labour would have won the second round, Alapa would have won the third round and the fourth round, and then Labour would have won the fifth round, Tories would have won the sixth round, and the Greens would have won the seventh round. So the dynamic there changes greatly. What you have is 1 Tory seat, 2 Labour seats, 1 Green and 3 Alapa. That is 4 MSPs that are pro-independence compared to just 1, what we had before. Is that not better? I wonder which. Anna Saorsa would have still got in probably, but his voice would have been marginalised big time. So let's do the same thing. Okay, let's do the same thing with the Greens. And what I did this time though is because the Greens had 34,000, I added the Greens votes to the SNP votes. So they started off with 170,000 because again they did not have any constituency seats. So they won the first 2 rounds, and then they run 1 round 4 and 1 round 5. It makes no difference, we still have 4 independence bums on the seats in Holyrood, we still only have 1 Tory, and we still only have 2 Labours. But again, that's still better than Unionist parties been in. We've just automatically, just by voting strategically, halved the amount of Unionist people in one region. Done, dusted, completed. I want to start swearing in a minute about this. Oh. Right, so the other thing, people would turn and say, oh, but it's not going to work that way. You know, nobody's going to vote for Alapa, or what if they got enough, but you know, the Greens got some more. So okay, let's look at this. Let's give half the votes to Alapa and half the votes to the Greens. Let's just do it. All right, and boom, there you go. So I added into this the votes for each party that they got, the Greens and Alapa. And the Greens won the first, Labour won the second, Alapa won the third, Greens won the fourth, Labour won the... And anyway, you keep going through it all and you end up this time with the Greens having 3 seats and Alapa having 1. Do you see a bit of a pattern going on here? It turns out to be 4 pretty much every single time. Okay, no matter which way the votes are distributed, it works out to be 4. There is one region that you'll see later on that turns out to be 5. 5. That's amazing. Imagine that. So basically, in all the models that Alapa Greens received, the SNP list votes split between them, the pro-Scotland MSP count will still stand at 4. I think, though, that it would be a great thing to compare SNP, both votes SNP, across every single region, one by one, against giving all the votes to Alapa. And this time we will chuck in Alapa's votes as well. And see what happens, region by region. Alright? This will take about 5 minutes, this B part, and then we'll play another tune, and then I'm going to go away and make cheese on toast. Okay, right, so here's the central. I'll just click through this just now. Come on, hurry up. Boom. Right, so this is central. The top, right the way through this part of the presentation, the top row will be the SMP 1 and 2, and the bottom one will be SMP 1 ALAPA 2. And I want you to take great note of this. Now, the boxes that you see in front of you is a spreadsheet that I made up myself that does the D'Hondt calculation, and I can put into, I've got many copies of this, which I've played with many different models of every Scottish election's outcomes, playing with the votes to see if we've gone one way or another. But let's just give every single vote from the SNP to ALAPA. Okay, so in the central region, there is only one pro-Indy seat, and that is the Greens. But you have 3 Tories and 3 Labours. That's the real world model. In the ALAPA 2 model, okay, you have 4. Basically because ALAPA starts with 148,400 votes. Okay? Straight up. That's what they start with going into it. And they end up with 4. So, again, there you have it. Highlands and Islands. Now, this is the interesting one. This Highlands and Islands is one of the anomalies where SNP 1 and 2 would actually work to get a single SNP seat. Okay, so yes, the SNP won one there, and I would advise people, if they are very pro SNP, to continue doing that there. However, if you'll take a look at the ALAPA model down below, they ended up with 4 seats. Personally, if I lived up in the Highlands and Islands, I might be pressed to think, well, maybe we could get 1 seat. That would make a difference. But then I look at this and think to myself, what's better for Scotland? Pushing out unionists, having a pro-Scottish opposition to work with the pro-Scottish government, even though they might not see ideologically together with regards to their politics. I would rather have the SNP locking horns with ALAPA in Holyrood than I would with those tossers from down south. To me, that's a no-brainer at all. But, you know, it could be the case that that's what people want to do. It might be what we have to do to get our SNP brothers and sisters on board with voting across the other places. Okay, so let's look at the Lothians. The Lothians, the SNP had a ridiculous amount, okay, 100, well, it wasn't 170,000, but they ended up with, I think they got 6 constituency seats in the Lothians. So that was their divisor going through there. And the Greens ended up with 2, which is great, okay. And unfortunately, or fortunately, my vote counted towards Lorna Slater getting a seat, okay. I'm sorry. I am. I like the Greens, okay. I might not like their leadership as much, okay. Don't tell them that. Right, good. But let's look at the ALAPA model again. The Greens get 1 and ALAPA get 3. We marginalise the Unionists by basically Labour having 1 and Tories having 2. So they've gone from 5 to 3, and we have gone from 2 to 4. Again, for me, that is ultrally a no-brainer. Mid-Scotland and Fife. Again, the SNP got no seats whatsoever. No seats whatsoever. The Tories got 4, Labour got 2, and the Greens got 1. If we give all the votes again from the SNP to ALAPA in the ALAPA model, we have 4 seats. There's that whole thing going on. I know this is boring, but it's getting to the end where we look at what happens at the end of the ALAPA 2 model, and I think it's important that we do look at that to see the difference of what would actually have happened in Holyrood in 2021 for that. Okay, so here's the Northeast. Again, SNP with none, and again ALAPA with 4. Okay, we're taking the unionist seats from 6 down to 3. We're halving them. It's mental. And I think south of Scotland, now this is an important one. Let me just bring this up just now. I'll go on the main cam so I can click through it quicker. Right, cool. South of Scotland, again, this is one of the places where it might prove to have a different dynamic for voting both votes SNP. They did get 1. So again, would that make a difference? Well, if you're strategically voting and we're voting for a pro-Scottish Parliament as opposed to just political hegemony of one particular party, then no. Don't vote for them down there. Vote for a third party, a list-only party, and let's boost the seats. Because again, if all the SNP votes went to Alapa, or went to the Greens, or went to the Tartan Party, then you're going to get 4 MSPs. And we did say as well that if we all the way back when we did Glasgow, if half the votes went to the Greens and half the votes went to Alapa, you still end up with the same amount of seats, 4, and you still push the same amount of unionists out. So it makes no difference. Okay? If let's do it with a third. We might lose 1 out of the 4 seats, but we're probably going to end up... I'm going to do that. I'll do that model. I can't do it just now, but I'll go and figure out that model and I'll throw in a third party and I will split the votes 3 ways. All right? It's worth exploring. Definitely worth exploring. Right, what are we coming on to next? West, which is the last one. This is interesting. Now, this is the one... Okay, let me bring this up just now. I'm not going to reveal the bit at the bottom. But again, we've got 6 unionists and 1 Green. Now, I was always trying to figure out, did I do my figures right on this? Because I couldn't understand why we ended up with 5 Alapa seats. They did start off with 158,000, then down to 79, then down to 52, then to 39, and then to 31. So, yeah, the figures are right. The figures are right. So in the west of Scotland, you Westies out there should be proud of yourselves, because if you'd voted for a pro-Scottish party on the list that had no people at all winning seats in the constituencies, you'd have delivered 5 MSPs. You'd have taken it from 6 unionist ones down to 2 unionist ones. Look at it. Isn't that a beautiful thing? I love it. It's totally cool. Right, we're nearly done. We are nearly done. So we're going to look now at the real world totals. What would have happened on an SNP1 and Alapa 2 strategy versus real world stuff. Okay, so this is the real world. This is what happened. If you look, I've done the spreadsheet, so it shows you the parties down the left as we've been looking at, and then the regions along the top, constituency and list seats 1, all the way through. So the total for the SNP, with over 1.1 million votes, was a total list catastrophe of 2 people. You know, 2. With 64, 1 off getting a majority. That's why they went to sort of like government with the Greens, so they could work together. Alright, Greens got 8 in total, and then 26, 20, and then, where's now? The Lib Dems got none on the list. Crazy. However, look at what would happen if we actually had voted for a second list-only party. The Indie total would have been 95 as opposed to 72. Let that sink in for a second. 95 pro-Scottish MSPs in Holyrood. 95. 90 friggin' 5. 95. I thought I did the spreadsheet wrong, so I actually added it up by hand and then added it up on a calculator. But it's 95. 95 is a magic number. Of course, I've probably made a mistake and somebody will come back to me and say it's actually 94 more, but I'm quite happy to say that was a mistake. Friggin' 95. What would that say to the world? What would that say? How could Westminster deny anything to us with that? How could they deny anything to us with that? That is an expression of our self-determination. And see, any morons saying that that's gaming the system, go and just leave town. Go on. Okay? I don't care about gaming the system. Really don't. Call it undemocratic or whatever you want. Oh, you can't do that. You've got to vote for your own party again. Fuck off. Okay? Sorry. But just do it. Okay? Beat it. Because then you're saying that Westminster can abuse us, can game our system, can turn around and do what they like to us, but we can't use a perfectly legal method to force their people out of a Scottish Parliament. Scottish people, Scottish MSPs, taking orders from Westminster before the people of Scotland. Look at the great bag of lobby fodder that moved last July down to London, called Labour MPs. Yes, men. And not in the nice way when they're voting yes for independence. Keir Starmers, yes, every one of them with a brown nose and fucking crap shitting out their nose. I hate this. I'm very angry tonight. Okay? I don't swear very often in my lives, but I am tonight. Okay? 95 MSPs we could have had if we just got over ourselves. Just got over ourselves. Mental. There it is again, 95. I've got a different chart. So there you go. Real world SNP had 64. In the Alapa 2 model, they would have got 62. They would have only lost 2 seats. 2 seats! Alapa would have gained 29. The mind boggles. You know? It really does. So understand that the Haunt formula does not lie. The numbers do not lie. We could have been sitting on a huge pro-Scottish majority. That's what Alex Salmond said back then. Did he not? Did he not say, we're going for a supermajority, we're going to do this? And as a result, and did you know, incidentally, okay, in the Scotland Act, was it 1998, with a 2/3 majority in Holyrood, they can dissolve the Parliament and call for another general election before the 5 years are up. So they could have used that. Listen, we are going to have a debate about independence in Holyrood. Okay, and then we're going to dissolve Parliament, and we are going to go on one mandate, one manifesto policy. A vote for an independence party is a vote for independence. They could have had that whole debate. They could have voted for it democratically and said yes, and with 95 MSPs, they would have won it. And then they could have dissolved Parliament, because all they need is a 2/3 vote. And then they could have done something. And you know something? If they did that, say, halfway through the term, okay, and proved to everybody that they could work together. Here is a pro-Scottish government working well with the pro-Scottish opposition to deliver pro-Scottish policies, to be pro-Scottish and be happy with it, not arguing about it, not being toxic to each other, not having their activists tear strips off each other on social media, but be grown-ups, because we need to be grown-ups for fighting for independence and not childish, nonsense, bullshitty things going on. Yeah. This would have cemented the independence movement as a force for Scotland to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, there is a large portion of our movement who appear to be more interested in the hegemony of their party compared to turning Holyrood into a far stronger pro-Scottish Parliament. What else have I written on here? Yeah, so what I've said as well is in 2026 there's no guarantees that the SNP will win as many seats in the constituencies. There's many seats that are not safe anymore. I totally get that. Alright? So activists are saying we must vote SNP 1 and 2 just to be on the safe side. Right? That is such a gamble. Okay? If you want the SNP to have a majority then you're going to vote SNP 1 and 2. But that is a gamble. Whereas if you give that list vote to another pro-independence list-only party, it's not a gamble. If the majority of people gave Alapa, the Tartan Party, or the Greens, whoever you want, okay, your list vote, you're going to generate more indie bums on seats. It might only be 10, because I really don't think people will get this message. They won't understand it. Some are, and the presentation I did yesterday, they do get it. They do. Tactical voting to install a pro-Scottish government and a pro-Scottish opposition is not a gamble. It's a necessity, utterly a necessity. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's up to you whether you're going to do it or not. Okay? Right. Jingle. A wee bit passionate tonight. I apologise for my swearing. It's not truly like me to do that. But listen, I've had a really good chat with you tonight. I think that there's a lot to be thinking about. We've got over a year to go. I don't see a plan, just like somebody said in TikTok. I'm just bring my TikTok back, Albafest. Yeah, you're right, there is no plan. We have to make the plan. Okay, and right now, we don't have an opportunity to create and push forward for a new system and argue for it before Holyrood. So I think that we should use the system that we've got. I think we should get out there and use the word pro-Scottish instead of independence. I think that we should be asking our brothers and sisters in the independence movement, well, have you ever thought of having a pro-Scottish opposition and a pro-Scottish government? Don't talk about both votes SNP. That rubs people up the wrong way. Alright? It really does. But turning around and saying to them, pro-Scottish government, pro-Scottish opposition, that's a good thing. Don't even talk about pushing out unionists. Just make it about us. Make it about Scotland. You know? Ceci lad, aka Georgie, how are you? In TikTok land. We need all independent supporting parties to work together to put independence first and foremost. Yes. We do have the power to force an independence convention. That'd be interesting. I would like to see... My problem with it, Albafest, is I would certainly be on board with it 120%. It's just how many other people would be on board with it to begin with. I think that we should start fighting for that now. Great idea. And we should... There's more of us than them, absolutely. But it's getting people convinced about that. That's what we have to do. We need to convince people. And that's going to be the hard slog. Because people are too entrenched with their things, with their parties and their ideology. How many truly want independence? I'm going to go above 60% if you count all the youngsters. But it's definitely worth discussing, and perhaps maybe you and I should sit and have a conversation, and maybe I should make a video about like what it actually means and talk about that. But we've got about a year to go, and we have the possibilities as well to do our best to install a pro-Scottish government. That's just one pillar of my beliefs. The grassroots pillar is what I believe would be workable with what you're suggesting. That's where we all are, and I agree with it. Yeah, I agree. 100,000 out of 1.6 million. Shouldn't be hard. Let's give it a go. See what happens. See what we can do. Send me a message through TikTok and I'll give you my email address. Alright? We can have a proper talk about that. Anyway, done for tonight. Had enough. I need to go now to make cheese on toast for a little get together in our Discord server. So if you're heading across the Discord, cool. If you are come and just, if you want to come and hang out with us, it's not a business night in the Discord server. It's like, I'm going to get a bottle of rum down, I'm going to get the Pepsi Mango from the table, and I'm going to have a few wee rums with my cheese on toast, which I still have to go and make. Alright? But great night tonight, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope that I get to hang out with you all again soon. If anybody is going to Grangemouth tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to make it. Please, please, please be safe, shout loud, okay? And remember, when you vote in 2026, remember Grangemouth, okay? Remember Ravenscreek. Remember how unionist parties have eroded our infrastructure. Look, I'm pointing, I'm getting angry again. Right, we're going to go. Thank you for watching, everybody. In what we got. Yes, the final score is YouTube won for the amount of people watching. Have to try harder, TikTok land. Okay. Listen, thank you for watching. Goodbye, and have a great weekend.
I'll reach my hands out.